Howdy there, Isaac here. The words, "If Itachi was still alive, the war wouldn't have happened," have been said since those words were thrown into the ether. Of course, you can come up with your own interpretation of what that statement means, but today we'll be exploring a scenario with Itachi reversing his Edo Tensei. I think the Uchiha prodigy knew the hand seals to reverse the jutsu. He simply didn't think he needed to. Itachi was ready to rest and trusted Sasuke and Naruto to defeat Obito. But here, in this scenario, after defeating Nagato, Itachi would decide he needed to not only undo the Edo Tensei, but also reverse it on himself, just to make sure Obito truly died. Instead of killing the crow that he lovingly stuffed inside Naruto, Itachi would order it to stay close, but out of sight, while he ran to confront Kabuto. Like in the anime, Sasuke would join him and the two would confront the self-proclaimed dragon. After casting Izanami and undoing the Edo Tensei, Itachi calls his crow over and reverses the jutsu on himself. His eyes crumble away, but he's able to yoink Shisui's eye from his crow and implant it in himself. The Uchiha prodigy then asks Sasuke where Obito stored their eyes before, and Sasuke would relay the information via a genjutsu. With that, Itachi left to go get some EMS, leaving Sasuke to regret his decision. See, Sasuke still wasn't sure if he wanted to side with the leaf or destroy it, and if he decided to destroy it, then an EMS Itachi was one of few people who could stop him. Before Sasuke could hunt down his brother, Suigetsu and Jugo would enter the cave, and that would go as per usual. Now, when would Itachi reach the battlefield? Well, there are several times where he could, and he should get there before the Edo Kage, right? Well, Itachi would've, if he didn't run into Sakura and Yugao's medical support team. If you can recall, this group of medics and support ninja were having a pretty hard time fighting off the White Zetsu. Without hesitation, Itachi would offer to help them track down and seal the Edos harassing them. So Itachi would have gotten there faster if he didn't spend all night sealing Edo shinobi. Luckily for all involved, when Itachi was revived, his illness didn't come back with him, and his EMS gave him a pretty significant power-up. Okay, so Itachi arrives right around when Minato does, right as the beast bomb is about to explode in Yuki's hand. Itachi jumps in with the Yanamir, but Minato attempts to teleport the attack away at the same time. So in the end, no one really knows who got rid of the attack first. Minato, amazed at Itachi's ability, gives him a smiling glance, while Itachi simply looks forward at Obito and Madara, the gears in his brain already turning. Obito scowled and clenched his fists. Of course, the two people who managed to cheat death were the most troublesome. Madara, on the other hand, perked up some, thinking someone with the EMS and flying Raijin might provide some fun. Once Hashirama arrived though, Madara immediately went off to fight his old rival. Once Naruto and Sasuke arrived and resolved to fight Obito, Itachi decided to fight off the real Madara instead, and so joined Hashirama. The first Hokage would say he had Madara handled, but Itachi, knowing exactly how hard it is to do everything yourself, would still say he should tag along. Hashirama would nod, and the two would begin brawling with Madara, who was quite annoyed at the younger Uchiha's involvement. Madara would summon a couple of wood clones to deal with Itachi, while he fought Hashirama alone. During this initial scuffle, Obito would become the Ten-Tails Jinchuriki, but Itachi decided to stay with Hashirama, especially since everyone seemed to be fighting him off just fine. Itachi, using shadow clones and his Susanoo, would manage to take care of the admittedly cocky Madara wood clones, while the real Madara and Hashirama fought with wood golems and a perfect Susanoo. Once Hashirama's wood golem was defeated, he'd summon his 1,000-hand Buddha statue, but this time Itachi was with him and stacked his Susanoo atop it. It took quite a lot of chakra and concentration, but he managed it, and this even shocked Madara. Now, within all the hands of the Buddha were thousands of Susanoo spears, all of which looked akin to the Tosuka blade, with a Yada mirror sitting within the clasped hands of the praying Buddha. I don't think I need to tell you guys just how epic this clash would be, but you best believe Hashirama and Itachi had to make sure no Shinobi Alliance members were close when they swung those thousands of spears. As the battle continued, Itachi noticed not only had Obito created the God Tree, but his own chakra levels were getting a little low. Once Madara explained his plan of taking Hashirama's Sage Mode and overthrowing Obito, Itachi knew he had to end the fight quickly. The Uchiha prodigy began firing Amaterasus all around Madara, covering the battlefield in black fire. However, the ace of Uchiha simply absorbed it. This, however, proved to be an effective distraction as the Totsuka blade instantly surged forward, nearly stabbing Madara, who barely blocked it with his own Susanoo sword. However, what looked like a shadow clone was atop the Totsuka blade, being flung forward onto Madara's Susanoo. The clone instantly created a rather large, odd-looking Susanoo, which then proceeded to create a large explosion, rivaling that of Deidara's C0. Seizing the moment, Itachi immediately lunged forward again to stab the injured Madara, but a skeletal Susanoo blocked him. Itachi had failed. That was his best attack, and it had damaged Madara, but wasn't enough. Together, Itachi and Hashirama couldn't defeat Madara, but they could slow him down. Itachi apologized to Hashirama before stabbing him directly with the Totsuka blade. Hashirama would be confused, but as he was being sealed away, he understood, and gave Itachi a Terminator 2 style thumbs up. This greatly angered Madara, who then began taking this fight a little more seriously, and within seconds, broke Itachi's Susanoo and had him pinned down. Madara taunted Itachi as he stood over him, clad in his own Susanoo, saying that this only slowed him down. Itachi would simply reply that that was the point, looking over towards Obito, who had the 10 tails extracted from him. Madara would say it was a shame that he could have joined them and brought about world peace, and then swung his sword down onto the defeated Itachi, ending him then and there. Before long, Black Zetsu would force Obito to revive Madara, and White Zetsu would bring the Uchiha one of his Rinnegan. The Uchiha would then, without his Sage Mode amp, have to fight all the nine-tailed beasts, Tobirama, Naruto and Sasuke, and basically everyone who isn't Minato and Kakashi. Aside from that, Black Zetsu would attach himself to Obito and attempt to steal the Rinnegan once again, only for a kunai to fly in, aimed right at the eye. Black Zetsu, without much effort, would partially detach himself from Obito and catch the ninja tool. Zetsu would taunt that this was a feeble attack, only to be silenced as the Totsuka blade pierced his chest, and he was sealed away. Obito looked up, seeing a rather bloody and beaten Itachi, who collapsed right after sealing Zetsu. Kakashi ran over to catch Itachi, asking him what the hell happened and how he was even alive. Itachi quickly said this didn't matter and pulled out another kunai, handing it to Kakashi, telling him to take out Obito's Rinnegan. Ironically enough though, right as Itachi said that, Madara arrived on the scene, rocking some white hair and new weaponry. Despite becoming the Ten-Tails Jinchuriki, Madara was missing one of his arms and had several bruises and cuts that were slowly healing. Seconds later, Naruto and Gaara arrived, with the latter asking for Minato to put his half of Kurama into Naruto. Itachi, knowing Madara couldn't have either the second half of the Nine-Tails nor his second Rinnegan, quickly ordered Kakashi to Kamui Obito, Minato, and Naruto away. Kakashi warped Minato and Naruto away without a problem, but Obito refused to run away so easily. Obito, promising Kakashi that he'd be back, and that they'd show Madara the power of their two Sharingan, then Kamui'd himself away, right as Madara attempted to steal his Rinnegan. Within the Kamui dimension, Minato would be able to successfully transfer his half of Kurama into Naruto. Once that was done, Obito would ask him to destroy the Rinnegan, and unlike Sakura, Minato does this faster than almost any of them can follow. No offense, Sakura, he's just faster and less hesitant than you. Back on the outside, Guy would arrive on the battlefield right as Obito left it. Guy, a slightly recovered Itachi, Kakashi, Gaara, and funnily enough, Tobirama, would be all that's left to fight Madara. Guy, like in the anime, would resolve himself to open up the 8th gate, but there was one slight difference here. Itachi would order the Crimson Beast to aim for Madara's legs in order to disable his movement. He also had Tobirama place flying Raijin seals on Guy before letting him run off to engage Madara. By this time, the Ace of Uchiha had regenerated his arm and was now feeling a little more cocky, and so began to enjoy his fight with Guy. Once Madara let his guard down and allowed Guy to hit him with his best attack, Itachi's plan was enacted. As Madara had his legs blown off, Tobirama and Itachi were teleported in, with Tobirama using his tandem paper bombs to further injure the Uchiha. Before he could fly up, Gaara's sand wrapped around him, pitting him to the ground, right as Itachi created a Susanoo and stabbed at him. Madara would attempt to summon his Shakujo, but several of the Truth Seeker orbs would be kamoied away by Kakashi, making his weapon far weaker. The two Uchiha struck at each other, their respective blades clashing in a stalemate. This was no good. Kakashi was supposed to warp away all the Truth Seeker orbs. Itachi was far too low on chakra to keep his Susanoo up for much longer, let alone break through Madara's sword. Suddenly, 3 hands would be put on Itachi's back, that of Kakashi, Gaara, and Tobirama, causing a surge of chakra to rush into the Uchiha. It certainly helped even the battle out, but it wouldn't be enough and they all knew it. Kakashi looked around, asking where the rest of the alliance was. Tobirama explained that Madara managed to injure most of them, even killing Sasuke in the process, which greatly disheartened Kakashi. If only Naruto and Minato could come back, but at least they'd be safe in the Kamui dimension. Kakashi would attempt to inspire them, saying that they were all that stood between Madara and the world now, and to give it their all. Suddenly, another hand landed on Itachi's back, and a huge amount of chakra rushed into him. Kakashi looked over to see Obito, who then said that he told them he'd be back, and to have some hope. Collectively, Kakashi and Itachi sighed as Obito and Naruto joined them, with Minato and Sakura joining seconds later. Soon, the 5 Kage, Sasuke, and other important named characters rounded the corner and funneled their chakra through Itachi as well. Naruto formed his Kurama avatar, while Sasuke and Itachi cladded it in Susanoo armor. With Minato's Sage Mode stacked somewhere in there, the giant red and purple 9-tailed fox broke through Madara's Sakujo and stabbed him with the Totsuka blade. Before Madara could make some grand speech or anything, he was sealed, and Itachi fell unconscious due to the strain of sealing a 10-tailed Jinchuriki. With that, Sasuke would announce his plan to become the next big bad evil guy that everyone could hate, and Naruto would protest against it. They'd have their fight in the Valley of the End, which doesn't go too different from canon. So yeah, if Itachi reversed the Edo Tensei, the ending to the anime would have been far different. Obito, Itachi, and Sasuke would have all been imprisoned, with Itachi and Sasuke later being pardoned. Kaguya isn't revived, and the cast never learns about aliens and their Tree of Might plans. Madara has his change of heart with Hashirama within the Totsuka Blade realm, if you care about that. And overall, everyone lives happily ever after until either the last or Sasuke Shinden happens, whichever happens first in the timeline. So, what did you think about this ending? Is it complete bogus? Would Itachi be squashed by Madara like nothing? Or maybe you think he should have stomped Madara no diff? Would you like me to continue this into the last, or maybe even Boruto era? Let me know in the comments below. And with that, we will be ending this video. Thanks to everyone who's gotten this far. I hope you all have a great day or night, wherever you are. Bye bye.